This video is sponsored by the Magic Candle Company. Visit magiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND for 15% off of your order. The countdown begins. It is now November of 2023, which means in 1 year time, we are in the opening window for Tiana's Bayou adventure in Frontierland at Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom and in Critter Country at Disneyland. Sadly, not New Orleans Square. We'll get to that. Tiana's Bayou Adventure being the full name for the re-theme of Splash Mountain. Now, Splash Mountain was long considered a Disney Parks classic, but the movie Splash Mountain was based off of, to put things lightly, hasn't aged very well. And with the criminally low underrepresentation of The Princess and the Frog, Disney's 2009 movie, at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World, Disney decided it was time for a change, and Tiana will be getting her brand new ride next year. And let's be honest here for a second, Disney has been underperforming when it comes to movies recently. Whether you like them or not, that's not important. It's the monetary return Disney's getting on these films. And the parks, while yes, being more popular than ever, are very divisive, very polarizing right now. And while the success of the Walt Disney Company doesn't solely depend on the success of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, I'd say that Tiana's Bayou Adventure will reflect the state of the Disney Company pretty well when it opens next year. Let me explain. When it was announced in 2020 that Splash Mountain would undergo a reimagining into Princess and the Frog, no real details were given back then, and a lot of people were very split. Some thought that the reasoning Disney had for replacing Splash Mountain was strong, yet it was still sort of that classic Disney Parks experience. It was one of the mountains, for crying out loud. Thunder, space, and splash. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, throw the Matterhorn in there, but then you'd have to be changing the name from the Matterhorn bobsleds to Matterhorn Mountain, and that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the Matterhorn, even though it's a mountain, quite literally is not a mountain. Maybe it is. It just depends on what you think. While others were just completely unconvinced and did not want Disney touching this ride in any way, shape, or form, minus a refurbishment in any way. But now here we are, 3 years later, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure is well under construction. The water tower has gone up as of the making this in Orlando, while Anaheim still is lagging behind just a bit, although they're both projected to open in winter 2024. And while, yeah, other parts of the park have received re-themes since then, like the Treehouse at Disneyland, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, none of them have been judged or scrutinized as intensely as Bayou Adventure. You see, this all started in 2020 when the Disney parks shut down due to the global pandemic that was happening. And alongside the reopening announcements, it was also announced that there would be new guidelines implemented as well, those being no fast pass, limited park capacity, social distancing in rides and queues, masks being required, and of course, reservations being required for entry into the park, as well as having a valid ticket. Over time, some of these guidelines were relaxed, like eventually you didn't have to wear a mask outside, and then eventually inside, and then eventually social distancing went away. And then Disney decided to reintroduce FastPass, kind of with a system very similar to the old Max Pass system called Disney Genie Plus. The previously free Fast Pass option was now going to be renamed Lightning Lane and would cost anywhere between $15 to $30 depending on how busy it was during that day. Also after COVID, it was announced that certain perks of staying on property, mainly at Walt Disney World, would be removed, like the Magical Express, which I truly and dearly miss to this day. Free magic bands upon your arrival, free parking for those staying at resort hotels, and even trams from the parking lot to the park's front gates. Were trams ever really removed post-COVID? I guess not really. I mean, they just weren't present when the parks reopened, and they weren't fully operational until very, very recently. So that is just a very, very brief overview of people's gripes with the Disney parks since reopening in 2020 and 2021. So now, after all those changes, booking and planning a Disney parks vacation is extremely confusing for those who've never been before, and for those of us who have been, it's just really annoying. You know, when this channel really started to take off all those years ago, I had pipe dreams of getting a media pass. Never gonna happen. And the general sentiment from me and a lot of people I've spoken to over the years since reopening has basically been, I love Disneyland, I love Walt Disney World, and I love going, and it's still so fun and so magical, and everything that we loved from before COVID is still around, and it's great. But everything surrounding the vacation, the over-reliance on the app, Genie Plus, park reservations, all of that has made it a bit of a lesser experience. It's been sort of getting harder and harder to enjoy Disney when there's so many hurdles in your way. And I mean, talking about over-reliance on the app, you used to get a little card for your Disneyland annual pass, and now with Magic Keys, the card is on your phone in the app. And unfortunately, that app has problems very often, from having to re-log in to not registering that your pass is linked to your account sometimes. Although with the introduction of Magic Band Plus at Disneyland, this has sort of been resolved, which is why I am a Magic Band Plus apologist. I would rather just have that on my wrist than use the app to scan in. It sucks getting to the front of the line and then realizing your pass for some reason isn't linked, so you have to go in and link it again. It's a nightmare. How does this relate to Tiana's Bayou Adventure? I'm so glad you asked. There will be no better way to judge the future of the Disney parks, creatively at least, than Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It will be sort of a litmus test for what Disney Imagineering values creatively going forward and whether or not they're willing to listen to fans when it comes to their opinions. Splash Mountain was a log flume. It was also a dark ride featuring physical sets, lighting, and audio animatronics. Tons of them recycled from America Sings over in Tomorrowland, at least at Disneyland. And one of the biggest criticisms of modern day, newer theme park rides, not only at Disney but also at theme parks like Universal, is the over-reliance on screens. When I tell people that I've never been to Universal, they usually follow up with some question like, well, why don't you go? What's keeping you? And the answer to that is, I don't feel like riding Star Tours 80 times. The terrible Fast and Furious ride, the terrible Jimmy Fallon ride, the terrible Simpsons ride, the terrible Minions ride, all of these attractions are simulator attractions. I don't care. Yes, okay, I really want to see Jurassic World and Jurassic Park. I want to see Super Nintendo Land and Harry Potter. All of those sound great, but everything else around them, it's just a waste of my time. There's a lot to love at Universal, but there's also a lot to skip. And don't even get me started on Halloween Horror Nights, okay? Next year, I'm gonna be there. I'm ready. I want to see Horror Nights so bad. Meanwhile, over at Walt Disney World or Disneyland, you would usually only have 2 to 3 simulators. I could name 3 off the top of my head: Star Tours, Body Wars, and Mission Space. And one of those doesn't exist anymore. But, you know, over the years, Disney has gotten a little, I guess lazy is the right word. I don't hate Frozen Ever After. A lot of that ride, including the characters' faces, are screens or projections. It's not very convincing. The fear with Tiana's Bayou Adventure is that they are taking out all of the physical sets inside the mountain to replace them with screens to give the illusion that there's stuff happening. It's way easier to make a short little movie that's 3 seconds long and loops forever than it is to construct and fabricate an entire set. It's cheaper to buy a screen and a projector than it is to build an entirely new audio animatronic from the ground up. But the thing about Splash Mountain was, as mentioned earlier, it was full of animatronics. If Tiana's Bayou Adventure includes these 8 or 9 new animatronics and then just completely removes a couple dozen of the rest of them and replaces them with screens, that's not good. Obviously, they'll have to replace some of them in order to replace them with new show scenes like this one of Tiana sort of guiding you through the bayou. That's totally fine, acceptable, understandable. The story has to be told. But Disney has to realize that if they cheap out on this retheming of Splash Mountain, a lot of people are just going to lose faith in Imagineering for the foreseeable future. Maybe not forever, but for a very, very long time. Something I think I could compare this to is the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Obviously, one of my favorite attractions of all time, if not my favorite. I love the Haunted Mansion. The exterior for the mansion at Disneyland is an antebellum mansion. Now, in the history of America, you would often find these antebellum style manors on slave plantations. The ties between this style of architecture and slavery in the United States run deep. If Disney came out one day and announced that they were redoing the exterior of Disneyland's mansion, obviously because the exterior of the mansion is so iconic, people would be hesitant, me included. But I think people would be a lot happier if this hypothetical new exterior was based off of a different New Orleans manor, a creepy looking building from the outside rather than, say, a Best Buy. One of these helps build the immersion of the land and helps keep you in the story that's being told in New Orleans Square and the Haunted Mansion. The other one immediately takes you out of the story and makes it really, really difficult to suspend your disbelief. I think the first lesson Imagineers need to learn about establishing the atmosphere of an attraction or an environment is the smell that surrounds you as you walk to and from lands or going through attractions. But this? Don't worry about that. All I'm saying is that if Imagineers wanted to, you know, get inspiration for a scent for a land or an attraction, maybe some sort of log flume, they could visit themagiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND to get 15% off of their order. It's just a suggestion, Imagineers watching this video. I'm just trying to help is all. Just a concerned fan here. Or, you know, maybe since it's November, which is essentially Christmas, if they wanted to get, you know, some inspiration for a Christmas shop or a holiday overlay for this brand new log flume, they would be able to do that with the help of the Magic Candle Company. It's not just candles, even though the name says candles. They also have room sprays and fragrance oils and hand sanitizers. They got it all. Okay, you got me. Maybe this candle is more important than I had led you to believe previously in the ad spot. Maybe. Can't prove anything, though. Remember, Imagineers, and, you know, screw it, future Imagineers, that's magiccandlecompany.com, offer code OFFHAND for 15% off of your entire order. And as always, a massive thank you to the Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. I just realized it matches my cardigan. Splash Mountain scented smoke. Okay, what was I talking about that whole time? I got distracted by candles. Oh, right, the ripple effect an underperforming Tiana's Bayou Adventure would have throughout the rest of the parks division. Disney needs to make sure they are giving the proper love, attention, care, and most importantly, budget to this reimagining, or else it may end up going down in history as a flop. Not because it's based off of Princess and the Frog, not because it replaced Splash Mountain, but because it leaves a lot to be desired as an attraction. It has to impress. And if Imagineering and Disney isn't fully aware of this, if they aren't 100% aware that Tiana's Bayou Adventure has to impress, and they decide that it's better and more cash efficient in the long term to do a sort of quicker, less budget intensive retheme of Splash Mountain, that's gonna come back and bite them in the butt tenfold. Is this video sounding a bit negative to you all? Let me clarify that I am really excited for Bayou Adventure. I'm gonna be there on opening day, hopefully, next year. I really wanna see this. I trust Imagineering to know what they're doing. I just don't trust the suits, the businessmen, the higher-ups who only want to see the stockholders happy and green line go up. The green line must go up mentality is what brought us to this situation in the first place. Hooray, guests are giving us money for something that was previously free with Genie Plus. Hooray! We can strategically position our cast members and staff throughout the parks on different days depending on how many park reservations are made. That way we don't have to pay as many of them as we used to. I know that Imagineering are on our sides. I've talked to so many Imagineers over the years and all of them want the same things that we want. Even, yes, a returned people mover. Their imaginations, however, are reeled in, they're constrained by real-world limitations of budgets and quarterly returns and shareholder value. I'm not saying that these are all bad things. Obviously, I want Disney to make money so they can continue to improve their parks. But you gotta spend a little money to make a little money. If they want Lightning Lane for Tiana's Bayou Adventure to sell out every morning at 8:01 a.m., they have to make it good. If they want to sell a bunch of branded merchandise for Tiana's Bayou Adventure at the gift shop at the end of the attraction, they have to make it good. And if it's anything less than what Splash Mountain was, people are gonna be upset. Disney has to get this one right. And I, honestly, if you were to ask me for my honest, truthful opinion, I believe Sharita Carter and her team are going to get this right. Are there going to be screens in some places? Yeah, unfortunately, I do think we are going to get some screens. But the stupid, dumb old little optimist in me likes to believe that Sharita Carter and her team, they know what made Splash Mountain so special. Was it the movie that it was based off of? No, it was the scenes and the music and the animatronics and the thrill factor that really made Splash Mountain special. If they deliver a Princess and the Frog log flume attraction with animatronics and physical sets and effects for the modern day audience, I think it will be a success. All of that remains to be seen though right now. We only see the outside of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The inside is in the show building. It's completely hidden from our view. We can't see any of it. And what they've shown us of the outside, I think is very impressive. The water tower is neat. Okay, it's not as eye-catching as the stump on top of Splash Mountain, but it's a nice sort of icon, a weenie to draw you in. And it's going to look amazing at nighttime. Far better than Splash Mountain ever looked. Let me just say, the fireflies, the blue lights, all of it, it looks so good. The mural that Disney showed us from Walt Disney World looks amazing. The new animatronic friends all look great. The fog, hopefully will be great. I mean, they talked a lot about fog at D23 last year. Fog's gonna be very important. I'm excited for the fog. Okay, obviously I'm being a little bit silly here. I am very curious to see what they do with the fog, but there are certain creative decisions that I just think weren't the right move, like removing Dr. Facilier from the storyline. Or the plot of this new attraction being based around Tiana's Foods, an employee-owned business that Tiana started. They really try to hammer it home that yes, this business is employee-owned, even though the actual company running Tiana's Bayou Adventure is one of the largest media conglomerates on the planet, who is notorious for how they underpay and undertreat their staff. Doesn't matter. Feels a bit icky and inauthentic to me, but again, I'm willing to see how this plays out. I don't want to cast all of my judgments before the ride is even open, and honestly, I hope you don't either. I hope everybody gives Bayou Adventure a chance. Because if Imagineering hits this home run, they knock it out of the park and blow the socks off of everybody who rides, it could be an indication of what we will see in the parks, domestically at least in the future. All of the major attractions that opened after COVID, or a little bit before COVID, were either built from the ground up or replaced something that was not really well liked or well trafficked. Great movie ride, Tarzan's Treehouse. While I did appreciate those attractions, I actually really did like Tarzan's Treehouse, they weren't really big people eaters. They didn't draw a crowd. Rides like Ratatouille and Tron and Runaway Railway at Disneyland, these were built from the ground up. They didn't replace anything. So immediately, right off the bat, going into these ground up attractions, guests weren't really comparing them to what came before because it was nothing. Nothing was there before. But then you go into a ride like Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios, or Frozen at Epcot, or Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It's sort of assumed that this attraction has to sort of match what came before or be even better. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Did you enjoy Ellen's Energy Adventure more than you enjoyed Cosmic Rewind? That's totally fair. Those dinosaurs, I tell you what. I believe I've devolved into rambling at this point. I just hope that Disney realizes how important and how crucial this Splash Mountain retheme, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, is for the long run, for the fans of the Disney parks. If they pay the proper respect to the land that this new retheme is being built on, and put a big enough budget behind it, and put Imagineers who actually care about Splash Mountain and care about Princess and the Frog behind this, rather than those who just wanted to do a quick IP swap, I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure will be, and has the potential to be, the same thing to kids growing up nowadays that Splash Mountain was to us growing up. I had no idea that Splash Mountain was tied to a movie growing up. Obviously, Disney wanted to keep it that way. To me, as a child, it was just a really entertaining, thrilling log flume attraction that told a story practically like Pirates or like the Haunted Mansion would. Honestly, as a kid, if you told me Splash Mountain was an opening day attraction, I would have believed you. But growing up and learning about Song of the South and how the theme of Splash Mountain can really hurt people, I'm honestly glad they decided to go a different direction with Bayou Adventure. And I hope that Disney gives this the time and the care that it deserves to be the perfect e-ticket for Tiana and Naveen and Lewis and Ray. Well, we don't talk about he's not with us anymore. Bayou Adventure will be a sign to fans that yes, Disney is at least creatively listening to what we want. And that means wherever they go in the future, whether that be a new Tomorrowland, a reopened People Mover, a ride based off of Disney's new movie Wish, not the cruise ship, believe me, I get them confused too. Whatever future attractions and lands and areas of the Disney parks end up being, Disney knows what we want. They hear us and they agree. Maybe not the corporate sector, maybe not Bob Iger in the suits up top, but the Imagineers definitely do. They have to realize what the company was founded off of, all those years ago with Walt. He said, I dream, I test my dreams against my beliefs, I dare to take risks, and I execute my vision to make those dreams come true. They have to dare to take risks. If the ride isn't ready, it's hitting some snafus, and it's not ready to open in winter of 2024, delay it. I don't care if it misses the quarterly earnings call, it needs to deliver. I am probably done talking, done ranting now. Did any of this that I said at all make any sense? Many people are looking for a sort of sign as to whether or not they need to stay invested in the Disney parks, and I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure may be that sign. Let me know if you agree, disagree down in the comments below. This is a Tiana's Bayou Adventure video, so the comments usually get a bit intense, so remember everybody, be kind. And I guess all of this will be put to the test next year when the attraction opens. I hope to see you there, because Lord knows I will be there. I am very, very excited for this ride. I mean, for crying out loud, come on. They're going to be pumping out the smell of freshly baked beignets in the queue. Are you kidding me? That's a win. That's a win right there. And if Walt Disney World finally gets its own in-park beignet stand, it's over. It's over. It's going in the history books as one of the best things Disney has ever done. Put beignets at the Magic Kingdom, Disney, for crying out loud. And while you're at it, do some mint juleps too. And now this is now devolved into a food video. Why doesn't Walt Disney World have a Bengal barbecue? Riddle me this, Disney, Bob Iger. Why is there not a Bengal barbecue at Walt Disney World? I mean, it's delicious. Do you have something against delicious food, Bob? Not just Bengal barbecue, because yes, it is delicious, but also Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Make it a good one, Disney. Please, please make it a good one. Hello, hey everybody, welcome to the end of this week's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. A bit shorter than usual, but I hope that's all right. I just wanted to sort of like analyze Tiana's Bayou Adventure and the implications it has for the future of the Disney parks. Because I really do think a lot of people have their eyes on this ride as either just a punching bag or a return to form for Imagineering. And I really want it to be the second one to just shut up those punching bag people once and for all. Just be quiet. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. You want more videos like this where I just talk about Disney parks and the implications of attractions for the future, I guess. A very large thank you, of course, as always, to my supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They help keep this channel chugging along. They help keep it moving. They help me do what I love as a profession. So a massive thank you, an unending amount of thanks to you all over there. If you want to join their ranks, you can by just following the link in the description down below. Even just $1 a month gets you access to most of the perks. And there's even like a messaging system included in Patreon. So if you ever have like a question for me or a comment about a video and you want to reach me directly, you can do that. I'm now starting to sort of try to do my best to answer these messages on Patreon. If that sounds interesting to you, again, it's linked down in the description down below. You can also follow me for free on other social media sites, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Offhand Disney. That's my username. It's not my real name. My name is not Offhand Disney, although can you imagine if my first name were Offhand and I was part of the Disney family? That would be insane. And of course, as always, a big thank you to the Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you all here. Usually same time, usually same place. It's always over here. What am I talking about? Usually same place. It's on the Offhand Disney channel. Where else would it be? Next week, goodbye.